Well, welcome everybody. Final panel of the day. I hope that everyone has had a productive and insightful day. I've had a lot of fun, heard a lot of great discussions and comments and things with students, community members, etc. So my name is Dr. Trevor Browning. I'm Assistant Professor of Environmental Science and also the Chair of the Sustainability Committee. So this panel is dedicated to the things that we're doing at Elmira College to try to become more sustainable, right? This is the entire committee. And we are large and strong, and we've been working really hard to try to move this initiative forward on campus. We're new. This is our first full year, right? Probably around February time, I think, if I remember correctly. So, you know, we're really trying to be a leader, make Elmira College a leader in sustainability in the region, and in order to do that, we're starting to grow and move forward, and we're hoping to share that with you all, and the community, and everyone. So, kind of how we envision this going. Maybe we can kind of go down the line and just introduce ourselves, and then we're interested to hear your thoughts and questions about what we've been up to. We can share some of our mission and goals that we have, and we'd love to hear from you all as well. So yeah, I'll Doc, and then we can go down.
Hi, I'm Doc Billingsley, Assistant Professor of Anthropology and Director of the Sustainability Minor, which is our other new program on campus. And I guess I'm the de facto Director of the Campus Garden and Faculty Advisor for the Garden Club. And my plug, I just want to quickly say, we're going to be hitting the ground pretty hard pretty soon, and there's a very short window that I'll be here because I'm traveling for term 3. So if any of you have a green thumb, please let me know, and I will happily recruit you to help us get things going in the next couple of weeks.
My name's Valerie Rossplot. Thank you, Fan Club.
Please hold your applause until all panelists.
I'm the Executive Director of Grants Administration here at the college, and part of my role here on the Sustainability Committee is to help the college find funding for our sustainability efforts. And I'll talk about that later.
And I'm Sarah Grossman. I'm Director of Communications and Content Strategy for the college. And I'm on the committee to help really kind of take what is happening and make sure that it's getting communicated out largely to the public as well as to the campus.
I'm Charlie Mitchell. I'm a professor of history. My role in the committee is a little bit of a lurker, and if, as Trevor pointed out, the committee wants to be a leader, then I guess I'm a leading lurker in this context. I contribute to the sustainability minor and the environmental studies program with courses on environmental history and global climate history. And I appreciate Doc's directness in saying that he is literally about to hit the ground in the garden before he kicks off. So with spades, I imagine, and pitchforks and things. So excellent.
Hi, Dr. Patricia Ireland, the provost. I oversee the academic programs and all the academic support units in the college, and you know, really looking for Valerie to find us money so we can you know, expand. But aside from that, we really do want to enhance what we have related to, you know, sustainability, the environment, and you know, look for other opportunities academically that we can do and support these efforts.
Good afternoon, I'm Derek Chalfant, Associate Professor of Art, and as a member of the committee, I'm going to be doing my part to, you know, put the fashion way, wield tools such as shovels and saws and things to hopefully, in a sustainable way, bring creative efforts to different parts of the campus community.
I'm Leila. I'm a sophomore. I'm a sociology and anthropology major. I've been working on sustainability and environmental science, and I'm a climate activist. I just want to offer heard that perspective and yeah. I'll give that.
I'm Grace Whitman. I'm a science major for my work and I'm just a little bit later.
Hello, I am Kyle Gilbert. I am Interim Vice President of Finance Administration. And I am here to kind of make us financially sustainable as well as environmentally sustainable, making sure what we do is working towards the end goal from multiple aspects, both the financial and environmental side.
Hello, I'm Joshua Campbell, I'm the Director of Facilities for Elmira College. My role on the board or committee is really to oversee any new project. We're looking at chillers, boilers, anything like that on the environmental side along with efficiencies. I also oversee grounds with what kind of plants we're putting in with the help of Trevor Browning and some other sources, all the way down to housekeeping and how we're performing our responsibilities with chemicals and the different types of avenues that are available out there at this point in time compared to what we were using in the past.
Hi, my name is Vincent Mark Christensen. I am the assistant dean of students. I receive both our resident side and campus engagement. So I work very closely together with Josh and Steve regarding the recycling sustainable efforts, whether that's in the campus engagement side or resident side, as well as the campus side representative meeting.
I am Stephen Speed, the housekeeping supervisor. And I also had a student setup around college. So we're doing.
Very good. So if you all have questions, we'd love to hear from you. Like I said, we can also speak about some of our goals and mission as well.
I'd like to hear about your mission and whether you're functioning exclusively on campus, for campus, or are you doing outreach? What's the plan moving forward?
Very good. Anybody that's not me, I've done a lot of talking.
You want to take that one? That's the original check.
I'm interested in doing like student to community outreach. I haven't really been able to like do that very much. It's been a busy year, but that's what we're working on the outreach side. Like with the clubs and stuff, like and the flea market, ways to try to make it so that it's available to the community and stuff like that. And I mean, and we'll try to have any suggestions.
I can say, Doug, is I was just reminded that I may have been involved in writing the mission originally a year and a half ago. It certainly is part of this committee's understanding of itself, and I think Trevor used the language to be to help to be a leader in the community, not just at the college, but to interact, share what we know, find what members of the community know, and work together on that. I know that we had some discussion last year, and Val, if you remember, you brought us information about some grants from New York State about Chemung County's targets for going carbon neutral as part of New York State's plan, and that's something we would see ourselves as having a involvement with, not as experts, because we're still not experts, right, Trevor? That's still
Not yet.
yes. So not as someone preaching to people about what they need to be doing, how they need to be doing, but modeling some good practices and exploring certain potential good practices to share with the community. So
it's like you read it.
really, yeah.
You did write it.
You wrote it, so.
I told Sarah I didn't remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah, I think the main thing that kind of Charlie missed there is that, and maybe you mentioned this while I was pulling it up, but I felt like it might be nice to have the actual mission in front of us. One of the things we want to serve is this clearinghouse, right? So we want to be a place where we are growing with the community, right? And being a leader to the community. So we understand that, like Charlie said, we're not experts, we're growing and learning. We want people to come here to say, hey, what should we be doing? What can we be doing? here's some things. And ideally, we'd love to have those, continue to have those conversations in forums like this one, right? This is not an isolated event, hopefully in our future, right? We have these annually, but all other places for us to discuss as well.
And I would just like to add from a perspective that is unseen is like some of the research that our students and our faculty are doing, you know, whether it's looking at some type of a sediment or some type of a plant or some type of water quality or whatever they're doing in their class, or creating, you know, a better straw than the paper straw that we're doing in another group. So there's a lot going on that is behind the scenes, but makes a difference in the community and in the wider, you know, in the wider world. And that is at the academic level that our students can learn and our faculty can participate in.
Do you have some organizations already that you're collaborating with? Could you name them for us?
At this time, we're not collaborating with anyone. However, that is our intention. It's something that we wanted to do. And I think in the long term, our goal was to get community members to sit on the committee with us. I don't know how that's going to end up looking in the long run, but as we stand right now, we were just trying to get our goals and mission aligned and start to move forward with the things we were doing at the college before we started to reach out to others. But that is part of our goals, to get involved with the community. You know, we certainly as a college are developing our relationships with, you know, as a faculty member in my department, developing relationships with people like the county, and Tanglewood and Friends of the Chemung River Watershed Group, other, you know, local active groups in the community. So I could see us moving that direction. And I know there's lots of other people on this panel that have other connections, places we're interested in going.
Can you tell us about where the goals and mission are published? Access to that?
Yeah, that's on the path. We're developing a web page for sustainability for the Elmira College website. And we'll have that up in a relatively close timeline, so that we can post the mission and vision and some of the goals and statements. Another thing that we will put together is in the annual report for the college. I will be dedicating a section to sustainability and the initiatives. And that will go on the college website as well.
Did you have a plan beyond that to actually single out the organizations that you want to make specific contact with, businesses and so forth?
I don't think we've discussed a specific plan to target businesses necessarily. I think if I remember correctly, our initial goals were to kind of target some community members that would be interested in sitting on it. At this stage, really what we're doing is we're trying to look introspectively, right? We're trying to look at the function of the college and how we can move that forward sustainably, right? Both, as Kyle said, from a financial standpoint and from an environmental standpoint. We've also been exploring the social sustainability component as well, and what that means to our college community. And so I think, you know, in our first year, that has been our primary goal. And then, so no, I think is the answer to your question, but it is something, it is a goal for next year to try to begin to look out in the community and find who is it that's interested in this.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Right. I think that does come back to, you know, the committee is fairly young. It is not, it is really still in its infancy.
Well, thank you. Oh, I thought
We're still in a lot of ways establishing its own identity on campus, and we are at a kind of a micro level trying to define ourselves there before we expand outwards to a larger community. If we kind of try to jump in 2 feet with 2 feet, without knowing how deep the water is, we're going to get in trouble. So we want to know what we can handle right now, what we can handle with the campus, and then expand to the greater city of Elmira and then to the county beyond that. And at that point, continue as far as we see is the right direction.
In the panels that I attended, I know that students had some very good suggestions and concerns, especially things like lights that are always on and very bright and very overpowering. So what are your plans to involve the students and their input and maybe deliver things they were asking about having a farmer's market on campus that would bring them, fresh fruits and vegetables, things like that. And, just some other ideas that I thought were interesting from the students. So do you have plans to allow them input?
They're right there.
I think that's one of the main reasons why we have students in our committee, like Grace and Layla. We also have like 2 more students, they're not here right now. Because they're the ones who listen, right, in the residence halls, or class, and different things. From the panels, like we usually do a debrief, we do have a meeting scheduled coming up. To just kind of discuss what came up and how we can improve. We started setting climate teaching today. So we had a couple of changes. We added stuff like, for example, we had the cocktail hour today, after this panel, right? Is that right? We can review things. There's also constant panels that we have from the student association. We can also hear like concerns and any suggestions that the students may have. And as a whole, it's a holistic idea, right? Because there are some areas that we may need that bright light, right? For example, just for safety reasons. But we do try to take into account, I know we've discussed in the past, just maybe changing what kind of bulbs we're using, just kind of minimum changes like that. We'll be able to help out and get us. You're gonna.
Okay, so if we're gonna talk lighting, we're gonna talk the campus infrastructure as well. Let's be very honest that the campus infrastructure was dated back into the 60s and 70s. And that's when the lights and everything else were put in, and we thought we needed 4 fluorescent tubes per every 3 to 4 square feet to make it happen. That's not today's world. That's not what we live in with lumens, with LEDs, with everything else. So we are, at the approach, taking fluorescents or something we're no longer using. We are replacing with LEDs. We also are, within that, being able to check lumens, find the correct lumens for the space, and then adjust that. Is that something we can do across the entire campus all at once? Absolutely not. But we are, Holter Hall just had the first floor redone. The Murray Athletic Center for lighting, we were able to go through that facility, look at it, say, okay, just as an example, there's 100 lights per hallway. Based off the lumens, we can reduce that down to 45 lights per hallway, create efficiencies, and then also create a better environment for our students and our athletes while actually providing a better crisper light. The other aspect to that is it's lights that are always on. We are currently running on a very old automation system, but as of 2022, we went and talked with Day Automation and Snyder Electric for EcoStructure. The beginnings of that has already started. We have Campus Center was one of the first projects we put on that, along with our ice plant at Murray Athletic Center. Now, coming this month, this building we're sitting in currently will be upgraded. Bowles Hall will be upgraded. And then as we go repeatedly through the next 3 to 4 years, the rest of the buildings on campus will be upgraded, giving us the ability to set schedules, to trend the data through metering and different devices to know exactly, okay, this resident call over break, there's no students in it, or there's no students on the 4th floor. We can turn the lighting off on this floor other than emergency lighting that's necessary for sustainability.
I just want to, what I heard in your question was twofold. One, that there were a lot of suggestions today at the panels, and have we captured those? And yes, as organizers, we've all had people set up to listen and take notes. And actually, while the day was going on, we were chatting with each other through the Google platform. The second piece of your question was, are there ways, avenues for people, the student base, to communicate continually about suggestions, thoughts, and questions that they have? And we do actually have, from the most recent town hall session, an email was set up, and I'll probably not get it right, but I think it's townhall@elmira.edu, for the students to continually give those suggestions, feedback. Not to mention that we did just do with the strategic planning a lot of surveying, and that will be continually something that we're talking to the students and the faculty and the staff about, how we're trying to listen and what actions we can take more immediately. But obviously, to Josh's point, things aren't going to happen in the kind of millisecond that some people may have that expectation. The point is that we are trying to hear them, prioritize, and then go down the list as we can. To Kyle's point, in the kind of sustainable financial as well as sustainable environmental way that we can.
So you mentioned financial aspects of that. So financially, what is the priority for your sustainable initiatives? Is it like a high priority financially, or is it something that's just kind of when we have funds and unargued updates affecting the amount that students are having to pay for the new general fund, for example, are we investing money in sustainability initiatives? That's a priority.
Okay. Well, we've talked about this before, so Josh, yes.
Well, actually, so I mean, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the video. So the video boards are a twofold investment. So yes, there is an investment that we put out in front to in the images. It does benefit our student athletes, and is allowed in recruitment of student athletes at this point in time. We were one of the few colleges that did not have this ability readily available to us. Second, the backside of it is a revenue source. So our projected revenue source, when talking to other colleges that are using this setup, are projecting to see $75,000 to $100,000 by year 3 of advertising sales. The advertising sales pay for that investment in the front, and then over the next 5 to 8 years life expectancy of this equipment, all that revenue is going back to the college to be used for students. So yes, up front, it may look like there's a lot of money that's spent on something that's not used for everybody. The long-term investment is that it's better utilized for all the students, not just sports and athletics. On our side, that when I put this together and brought it to the
so that answers the video board specifically when we're talking about campus upgrades, things like that. We haven't, there are a number of avenues of upgrades going on. One of the most recent upgrades that was done was to the chiller in the campus center as a completed upgrade. Now, a lot of people don't see a chiller up front and center. It's not like a big thing that stands out in the middle of the walkways or other, and we can point to it and say, hey, we've upgraded this, it looks great. However, in the campus center, it provides heating and air conditioning, it provides services for the dining hall. And if you look at when we looked at our electrical reports, it actually decreased our electrical consumption by at least 20% for that building and the buildings it's connected to. So in a way, almost all of our upgrades right now, especially when it goes with equipment, are increasing sustainability, both environmentally and kind of financially, because some of our equipment is old enough that really any replacement is an improvement. when you're looking at the impact on students, looking at environmentally friendly options, it is a very, we are being very careful that any sustainable options are not increasing student costs. That is something we are trying to keep in mind. We know college and university right now in general is the cost of it is on everyone's minds. It's front and center. We are doing our best to maintain and create a up-to-date, stable environment, sustainable environment, while not breaking anyone's back.
Could you add something to it that, regarding, for example, housing and residence halls? That's why recently, Dr. and I presented a housing proposal for like the next 5 years that goes with our strategic plan to actually pilot and with Dr. Liz Lambert. And it was one of the reasons why we decided to maximize our space. Right now, our residence halls are not being used to their own extent, to all the floors that are online. So if you notice, if we did housing selection, like buildings right now are actually like the floors are full. And that way you're starting off 2 floors in Perry, Tompkins, and 4 floors within Towers. You really can utilize the space that we have, and even with, even just housekeeping, like now you don't have to, keep up one of the floors that maybe has to be 2 or 3 people living on it. It's really not sustainable for us, both in a financial and environmental side. And that's why we're gonna keep doing it for the next couple of years. And again, this is the first year that we're coming on housing plan, housing proposal, shutting off board. Not only for the reason of just shutting them off, but also renovating them. So we can also have some floors that are a little bit more sustainable and do some improvements that we're gonna get to see in the long term.
Well, and again, just to touch off that, with that, it's not financially sustainable for a hired contractor to come in and renovate complete dorm rooms or dorm floors all at once. And I don't have the staffing ability to do it in the summer for 6 weeks. So by doing it this way, it will give us the ability over the next 5 or 6 years where we could have every floor, every dorm renovated, updated, and moved on for the students without accruing a huge cost to the students.
I understand that the whole campus, I know most of the things that they're planning on, hopefully they're gonna be available, or I hope so. I mean, more so, honestly, again, the TVs were Netflix, and obviously then beyond these, but are we investing the same amount or an equitable amount to sustainability initiatives by students or supporting those things more so than just like building renovations and stuff like that? That takes time. But other things like gardening club, are they doing the same compassion and giving the same amount like care as are?
Yeah, so when we're taking, I think you're going in terms of, are you looking at in terms of budget allocation and things like that for these areas?
Sure. I know that they don't obviously have much of a need as like that, but
well, I don't, when I look at it as for a budget, from a budget perspective, I don't really look at ranking things over what, let's say, athletics over the gardening club. That's not what I am looking at. I am looking at what needs have been proposed to me from each of these clubs so that I can try and fund them in the best way possible. So I'm not giving preference to one group over the other. I'm trying to do my best to meet everybody's the needs that are presented. Now, what that does mean is there does need, it is helpful to have involvement from everybody so that I do get proposals from everybody who's looking for some funding, so that I can say, oh yes, let's get this funding over to here. Oh, hold on. So just, it's valuable for me to get that information just so that I know about it. So the different groups are looking for something, send me an email, send something so that I can make sure everything is taken into account for a budget cycle. But we do not, no, in just in terms of the general question, no, we don't preference one group over another. While we are budgeting, we are really looking at the needs of the entire campus community. What we, as far as we can see, are the preferences of the community and what they are really looking for.
I think to piggyback off that, you know, that may not necessarily mean financial support, right? You know, we've got the new sustainability house, which was, you know, given to us by the financial side of the college, right? And they said, you know, this is something that we can give to you for space, right? Which is really critical. You know, the environmental science department was in need of space, and we got the second floor of Carnegie. Now, it needs serious renovation, and it's going to need money to do those things. But I know that those are on the table. We're in discussions to get those happening. So, you know, I think it's not necessarily, oh, well, is everyone getting supported financially? It's like, are we being heard? And I think that's our goal with this committee, is to make sure that that's happening. Now, are we hearing everyone? No, of course not. But, you know, I think we're trying to get there. And this is sort of our first step.
If I could add to that, when we have specific needs, a person like myself, I've talked to some of my colleagues already. I have some reliable sources that have already offered to donate raw materials. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to get imported lumber and or domestic hardwood and have it look quite like this. But if there are enough students like Christian in the audience and some other people that have these skills and interests who are part of these clubs, it could be a collaborative effort. And we could have the interior of that structure be unlike any other place on campus. So I can add that in terms of, I think earlier we were talking about what kind of businesses and organizations are you working with in the community. So as far as Wellsboro, Pennsylvania, Erie and Lumber, in Ithaca, there's Danby Hardwoods. Those two family-owned and operated companies, businesses that already offered to donate a specific amount of material when there's a specific need, as are two other companies. One's Remco Plastics out on Chambers Road by the airport, and another one is Manufacturing Automation System in Painted Post. So there are a couple of businesses that have already stepped up, and when the need comes, they've offered to offer assistance.
To add, since it's such a small campus, I feel like a lot of the clubs also know each other in a way. Like, I know the leader of BSU and like girlfriends on EC2, like we can all kind of like collaborate together. So like on a student level, I do feel like the level of like outreach that's required to like get people to collab is like very low. Like you don't really need to make a huge effort. You just kind of like go through the mire, knock on their door. So it's not it's not like in terms of like student support and student collaboration, I do feel like the small school environment has really helped people kind of like learn more about each other's clubs and get more support and get more people in the clubs.
In fact, last year in this space, the Black Student Union had a dance and dinner, right?
I think so.
And
I was
in that corner, the art club, members of the art club put together a beautiful, like a tree and some other things. So there is, as Leah said, there's a lot of collaboration and let's see.
Yeah, you can't really do much without other collaboration. I feel like with things like the environmental science club and stuff like that, I feel like collaborating with other people would really get like a lot of our ideas around and stuff like that. So like it's kind of cool to have a small school environment so that you're just closer together. But that's just kind of like the culture of the school. That's not really like saying anything about support, but I don't.
I don't say something, but I think I'm glad that there's like lots of like that collaboration, especially the clubs. And I can give an example. I think the other part that is also missing is almost like that follow through and true commitment to to the efforts. I know I collaborated with the environmental club regarding they wanted to have some kind of garden that went through like campus life and facilities and said, yeah, well, we'll help you, we'll assist you. They collaborated with me, and I know they felt a little discouraged when, only one person or two people were interested in actually, participating, even though that was asked by multiple students. So I think, that's the other side of it, right? Trying to work with all these clubs and all these groups, but also like that follow through is very important, because that may be one of the reasons why you're not seeing many of the suggestions that actually, happen. Because then when we actually set it in motion, then no one is really actively participating on it. So I hope they keep the garden open, but I know they only had one interested person in actually helping out with what they wanted to do. So that's kind of like the other side of it, like stay involved. Like Layla said, it's a very small campus, so you can always reach out and, if you have ideas and actually get it together and keep them on the line. We're like, okay, we're all doing this together.
It goes into like the social sustainability too. Like we talk a lot about like environmental and financial sustainability, but I feel like really fueling the community advocacy could also really get people involved in like climate initiatives and sustainability and things like that. And so like sometimes that does happen, but I think a lot of other times there's like the flea market that we did last year. It's like completely new, like people are going over there, it's like getting stuff. It's like people are dropping stuff off, and there's like enough participation. It's not the entire school, but there's enough, and I think that's like the little things.
Well, today's a great example of that. We had environmental club running the upcycle fair. We had education club doing demonstrations to elementary school students. We had art club out there marking up the sidewalks, talking about climate, etc. I mean, I'm sure there are other clubs that I'm missing that were even involved as well. But, we are small schools. It's hard to hide in the corner, right? We're trying to get everybody involved. Good thoughts or questions?
Yeah, so maybe to kind of use what this came up recently to kind of circle us back to kind of mission kind of things. So campus engagement, club involvement, right, is kind of the groundswell you get here as a student in college, you get involved and find your passions. So I guess my question is, can we, thinking about the strategic plan, thinking about the mission of the college, thinking about sustainability, is there a way is there a plan to kind of integrate sustainability into, community engagement maybe is a nice next step, as you get immersed in the campus experience and campus culture, start to look a little wider to the local community for community engagement. That could then lead into internships and wanting to work and figure out what kind of career you want, what your career path is, and then you graduate and put back and get things, right? So kind of thinking about again that long scale, we see how sustainability will make its way through as students get here and have their 4-year path. It's kind of about nutrition, but not
We did, as Sarah said, we had some focus groups as we're starting a new strategic plan, and that was very helpful because every, if you were staff, administrators, students, you had faculty participation in it. So it really took the pulse of the campus. But the college is committed to sustainability and integrating it into, the whole life of the campus and whatever we do. That's really important. It's not just academics or campus life, but even, what kind of decisions we're making, if there is a facility issue, with regard to, I think even, food, looking with Parkhurst, what can we do more there? And I think it just has to be front and center and ways that we can promote this. And I was just thinking, honestly, today, how we can promote what we're doing, or even if we do something on the facility side, how do we get that out there? Why we made a choice that's very obvious. So it has to be really integrated into the life of the campus. And we are new, which is, so sometimes that's really hard because we see so much that needs to be done, but we forget that, oh, we've come a long way even in a little over a year. But I think, sustainability, is more than just, the green grass, right? The air out there, or what kind of light bulb you use. It's a way of life. We even have fashion here that we had a talk today on, sustainability in fashion, even how you, what your work environment is your, your desk, or how's your, how's something for your health. I mean, I know we're trying, even with staff, trying to do more wellness kinds of things, which we should be able to do with the students as well. So I think that sustainability, while the environment is front and center, and I think to your point, Adam, it's a whole way of life, and even how we teach and things we do. So yes, we need to do more, but it is a focus. And I think this committee, which is made up of every sector of the campus, so it's a very diverse committee. So it's not just listening to, just totally the students or just totally the faculty. It's a combination, and I think that's help us to go a long way.
But I think on the facility side, we've developed a lot of relationships with the community in the sense of businesses. We've got a lot of good friendships with, like, the simple and some crazy ring lettering for the shirts, and just different companies that may not have been a part of what the facilities were was previous. Peter Supply, they did some endless work on 5-6 different companies. We changed all of our paper products to 100% recyclable paper. A lot of work, but that's saving us 30% right there off the top. So I think we worked really hard to develop a lot of really good relationships. And I do believe that's going to help us in future with other things.
And kind of how Patricia said, I know we talked about the last meeting, actually having a sort of tab on my website to actually let everyone know what happens in the facility side. There's a lot of students that I meet, there's a lot of students I talk to, that once I get a chance to have a conversation with them, explain what's actually happening, and you're looking at some of our old equipment, some of our colleges going to. Once they understand and really see and have that communication, it makes more sense. So I mean, we could sit here for 3 hours and talk about the difference between R11 and 410A and what's better for the environment and what's better for this, but just looking at the aspect of, go to a page, maybe they'll see why we're choosing and why we're doing things we are, along with the students, how to go a long way in that communication.
And I think something that's going to help solidify our commitment to sustainability here on the campus. Not too long ago, we on the committee learned of a New York State initiative, and it's called Clean Green Campuses. And it's a membership initiative of colleges and universities across the state. And basically, it's a group of colleges and universities that have committed to climate goals, climate action, sustainability, and it's the initiative falls under NYSERDA, and NYSERDA, if you don't know, because I can never remember what the acronym stands for. NYSERDA stands for New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. So this is an initiative, again, it's called Clean Green Campuses. It was launched by NYSERDA about 8 years ago. And the committee and campus leaders right now, we're looking at joining as a member, excuse me, of Clean Green Campuses. And on the financial side, it's going to open up a lot of funding opportunities for us to, help fund various activities, sustainability activities on campus. There's a whole network of about 140 plus New York State campus colleges and universities who are members right now, and we're looking at becoming members too. So we can get in on, get deeper in on the game of sustainability and just share, our successes as we move along. Like we've all said, the committee's very young right now, but we're committed to finding as many avenues as we can to financially support what we need to do to keep the college sustainable. So there's a whole website on the NYSERDA website, and if you want to read more about it, it's Clean Green Campuses. And then on the website, there's a list of the 140 or more colleges and universities who are currently members. So a lot of our peer campuses are members, so that's why we also would like to become a member. Membership is free.
Well, some reasons why we want to become a member.
They just keep rolling.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of teachers trying to integrate environmental science in their curriculum. Like at least, like I'm in the social sciences, so like, I guess it's just kind of building into the curriculum. But I guess you could do like more outreach, like with other teachers too, try to get them to include sustainability in my curriculum somehow.
And that's part of the commitment that we would have to make as members of the Clean Green Campuses is interweaving sustainability in as much of the curriculum as possible, wherever it makes sense. Everywhere.
Everywhere.
You might be interested to know, and some of you probably knew that both the city and the county are now beginning to take pride in having just begun to become climate smart communities. A bunch of us went and saw some elected officials in the city and county and some towns around Elmira and started this conversation. And since then, the town of Elmira, another town outside of the city of Elmira, and Chemung County have all become climate smart communities. They have to do some things to qualify. The city replaced a high percentage of its streetlights to LED, and that's what helped them qualify as a climate smart community. But there's some political receptivity to some of this stuff. Whereas just a short few years ago, it was, get away from me. So as you continue and eventually get to outreach, you may find that a more receptive world out there than some of us did 10 years ago, let's say.
The funding opportunities right now are, I won't say exploding, but they're far more than there ever have been.
Blossoming, maybe? Is that a blossoming?
Blossoming. That's it.
And I know it's been a while, but we did fairly recently do a collaboration with the county to do the tree survey. So this was a year and a half, 2 years ago, I believe, but a field biology course did a tree survey to help the county assess the diversity of the trees in the area, and worked with Meg Lahman, the famous Argonaut. And I only know about it because I had to write about it. And so the survey was done to assess, what kinds of trees and what kind of diversity it is, since there is a lot to do with equity, social justice, when it comes to where trees are within a cityscape. And so the students went around and actually did the counting and the assessment of the trees, and that went towards going to get funding to do more planting of diverse trees.
we're doing a lot of these types of things, like I think Trisha was saying earlier. There are tons of behind the scenes things that we're doing. I mean, there's stuff we're doing as a committee, which is great, right? And then there's everything else. I mean, so you mentioned the climate smart communities, and I see a couple of county reps behind in the audience there that I worked with this past fall in my climate class, where we were talking about that exact same thing. And we had students trying to design materials to produce, you know, awareness, increase awareness of climate issues in the community. So I think that, you know, as the college moves towards taking a more open formal stance, like there are tons of other things that are going on as well that we're trying to wrap up all in this fall. And I'll say, just to kind of piggyback off of all these comments and the things that we've been saying and efficiencies and where the campus is moving, you know, a lot of sustainability, when you look at it on the surface level, environmentalism, if you will, right, is, oh, well, it's this new shiny thing, right? It's this new, what can I see that demonstrates sustainability to me? And I mean, I think one of the things that it's really important to us is we don't want to be flashy sustainable. We don't want to be the new word that's just been added to the dictionary this year, greenwashing, right? We don't want to greenwash, right? That means just pretending like you're being sustainable while not actually being sustainable. We want to move those things forward. So no, that doesn't mean that we're going to tear down a building and build a brand new LEED certified building. That's not environmentally sound, right? We have facilities already that we can modify to make more sustainable, right? Which is what Josh and his team work on every day, right? And it may not look as nice as a LEED certified building, but we can at least rest assured that we're not wasting copious amounts of materials to pretend as though we're becoming more sustainable.
And that is a topic that we have as part of, we had and continue to have as part of the burgeoning of the committee was, how do we make sure that this is not just a flash in the pan kind of committee, that it's got to see what are the important things to focus on, but it also has a voice beyond the committee itself. So it doesn't have voice into the long range planning committee for the college. And it is why we have included the students as well. And it's why we decided to be a panel in today's teaching, so that we had another opportunity to have all these discussions, so that we aren't just saying, we do all these great things. We're trying to say, we're here to start, to listen, to figure it out together.
Yeah, and I say with that, that's our time, but we are looking for interested members, especially students, but also I'm sure that there will be some kind of rotation. We haven't established what that rotation will be of the members on the committee, but that will exist. So if this is something you're interested in, whether it's sustainability committee, whether it's garden club, whether it's environmental club, any of these initiatives that you're wanting to either collaborate with us or participate with us, please reach out. We definitely want to hear from you and want to hear your ideas and et cetera. So yeah, thank you for coming and have a great rest of your day.